Good morning, students. Today's lesson will be discussing tectonic plates. This lesson will cover TEKS 10D, and that is describe how plate tectonics cause major geological events such as ocean-based formation, earthquakes, volcanic eruption, and mountain building. Let's begin. The Earth is divided into layers. The crust is the Earth's first layer. And tectonic plates are pieces of the divided crust. Earth's second layer is the mantle. The mantle is hot, liquid, moving magma. The magma allows the tectonic plates to move and drift on the surface. A plate can be an oceanic crust or a continental crust, depending if the crust has ocean or land on it. 335 million years ago, the continents were once one large landmass scientists called Pangaea. Until they began to drift apart in 3 different ways. In the process, they created the world's volcanoes, mountains, and more.
The first plate boundary that we're going to discuss is the convergent plate boundary. A convergent plate boundary happens when 2 plates move toward each other. If both plates are of the same density, they will push up against each other. This creates mountains and volcanoes, and this is how Mount St. Helens, and the Himalayan mountains were formed. Sometimes, one plate has greater density than the other. When this happens, the plate with the lesser density will sink underneath the plate that has the greater density. This is called subduction. We can see an example of subduction underwater, where there are subduction zones which cause underwater trenches. The Ring of Fire is an example of these underwater subduction zones.
We can also have plates that move apart from each other, and those are called divergent plate boundaries. When 2 continental plates slide away from each other, it forms a rift. This can cause volcanoes because as the plates move apart, magma rises from underneath the Earth's surface. A good example of this is the Great Rift Valley in Africa. When 2 oceanic plates slide away from each other, we get an oceanic ridge. Here, underwater volcanoes erupt, forming new crust. As new crust forms, it causes seafloor spreading, where new crust moves or spreads the old crust. An example of this is the Mid-Atlantic Ridge in the Atlantic Ocean.
The last plate boundary is called the transform plate boundary. A transform plate boundary occurs when 2 plates slide past one another in opposite directions without the production or destruction of the crust. Although the crust is not created or destroyed, the crust can be cracked or broken. Places where these breaks occur are called faults. A real-world example of a fault is the San Andreas Fault in California. As these plates rub past each other, stress can cause portions of the crust to break, resulting in an earthquake.
Now let's remember, converging plate boundaries move towards each other. Divergent plate boundaries move away from each other. And transform plate boundaries slide past one another. It's important to know the different movements of the plates because it's evidence of how our world is moving and creating something new every day.